Part 2, the retreat that changed it all. When I arrived at the retreat center, it didn't take long to realize, even as a complete noob in Guru land, that this wasn't going to be any ordinary retreat. It was nestled beside a centuries old abandoned stone church that had been ravaged in some long ago war, its roof completely stripped away, all set within the lush green rolling countryside of Ireland, with cattle scattered across every field in every direction. Gareth resided in a 700-year-old thatched roof house right next to the center, operating entirely off grid with running water and wind powered electricity. There were a few rustic dorms carved into the house's attic where we bunked down, and the delightful smell of antique oak kissed every inch of it. The property manager was two retreat owners, a shaman slash psychotherapist whose office felt like it was blessed by Allah himself, along with her delightfully funny Irish husband. Moss draped Buddha statues appeared around every corner, and retreat goers were already swimming and laughing in a small, peaceful pond. In the back was the meditation space, which had enough blankets and meditation cushions to fit all 30 of us comfortably. The energy of the place felt like a spiritual homecoming. The whole property emanated tranquility, as though I'd entered a living meditation where the land itself was breathing peace. The first person to greet me was Gareth, the man of the hour. Ken, welcome to Ireland, he said, embracing me for a hug, grinning ear to ear, his energy radiant, authentic, uplifting. He possessed that same magnetic gleam as K-pop celebrities, except he sported ordinary jeans and a t-shirt and carried no portrait stickers to distribute. And although I'd never been nervous around Korean stars, I felt surprisingly anxious in meeting this man. That feeling quickly dissipated once we started chatting, and I realized just how normal he actually was. I brought up the alien fingerprints again, and he chuckled, saying, Man, when I got that message, I was thinking, what is this guy on? His sense of humor was just starting to warm up to me when another van full of retreat goers arrived. One by one, they moved toward me with arms outstretched, hugs that felt like coming home after a lifetime of wandering. These weren't just any people. They radiated something I'd never encountered before, a warmth that seemed to emanate from their very cores. They came from everywhere, teachers from small town schools, night shift nurses, middle managers in corporate America who'd left their corner offices behind, therapists who spent their days mending other people's hearts, entrepreneurs grinding out their dreams one day at a time. Ages spread across the spectrum, from bright-eyed 20-somethings to weathered souls pushing 80, each carrying the beautiful wear of lives fully lived. What struck me most was the complete absence of flowing robes, crystal necklaces, or any of the spiritual uniforms I'd expected. No tie-dyed anything, no Sanskrit tattoos, no beaded jewelry catching the light. They looked like people you'd pass on any city street. Jeans and sweaters, simple dresses, the kind of understated clothing that suggested they'd outgrown the need to advertise in their awakening. Here we stood, ancient spirits wearing modern faces, drawn together once again by forces beyond coincidence. This wasn't our first rodeo. We'd probably found each other across countless lifetimes, playing different roles, but always circling back to the same essential work. But this reunion felt charged with completion. All those previous lifetimes had been preparation, practice rounds. Now, we were ready to finish what we started so long ago, to finally make the leap we'd been building toward across centuries of trying. When darkness finally settled over the retreat and I collapsed onto my bed, the profound quiet of untouched land wrapped around me like a blanket. No city hum, no neighbor's television bleeding through thin walls, no anxious thoughts demanding sleeping pills, just pure, restorative silence. I sank into the deepest sleep I'd experienced in months, my body finally releasing tension I didn't even know I'd been carrying. When Eva walked in before morning meditation the next day, I was finally meeting my hero. She was, after all, the architect of the most extraordinary experience of my life. Nearly 6 feet tall with a commanding Austrian accent, she possessed unmistakable power. Yet when she laughed, it was pure schoolgirl giggles, utterly refreshing. She told me of her meteoric ascent into Brahman consciousness, a nonstop, all-in effort involving numerous high-level healers, persistent meditation, and undergoing one of the hardest spiritual tests on earth. More on that test very soon. This became a recurring theme among the advanced seekers I met. Enlightenment demands serious dedication and is anything but easy. This reality shouldn't surprise us when we look at history's great spiritual masters. The Buddha sat beneath the Bodhi tree for over a month, and there he succumbed to spiritual warfare at the highest level. Mara, the ancient embodiment of everything that keeps us chained to illusion, unleashed the full arsenal of human weaknesses at him, from seductive visions that promise pleasure without consequence to armies of demons representing every fear that had ever taunted him. He was so tempted and battered in such a short period of time that he had waves of crushing doubt about even his very worthiness to seek truth. He reportedly was even forced to witness an unrelenting, unspeakable parade of human suffering without the merciful option of looking away. Yet there he sat, unmoved, like a badass. Christ faced a similar ordeal when he wandered the desert for 40 days, his body weakening, his mind stripped bare, while Satan offered him the kingdom of the world, the easy path, the shortcut that would bypass the very suffering that transforms us. He was starving, hallucinating, and being offered bread, power, and the chance to prove his divinity through spectacular displays. Christ's personal testimony of his desert experience and breakthrough to cosmic consciousness appears in Christ Returns, Speaks His Truth, the Christ Letters. Again, a mandatory read for anybody that wants to know the true Christ ascension story and teachings. Eva, Gareth, and Naringa all underwent what I call the nuclear option of spiritual transformation, the Transcendence Technique, transmitted by Swami Shri Atmananda. This master developed the technique over decades following his own awakening, keeping it in his proverbial back pocket until 2021, when he finally felt the world was ready for such an intense method of transformation. It's nothing short of spiritual Green Beret training, except instead of learning to kill people effectively, you're learning to kill your ego so thoroughly that you become a walking antenna for divine consciousness. This isn't some weekend workshop where you hug it out and eat organic quinoa. This is the spiritual equivalent of voluntarily signing up to have your entire psychological operating system reformatted while you're still using it. And hearing Eva describe it during the first meeting with her was like watching someone choose to walk through hell because they heard there was enlightenment on the other side. The process unfolds in 3 brutal stages. Stage 1 gets you connected to the transmission of force over 54 sessions. Stage 2 is the it all hits the fan phase, where formal breathing patterns excavate every karmic pattern you've ever accumulated, forcing you to feel each trauma as pure sensation while your system burns through lifetimes of baggage. Stage 3 uses advanced pranayama to activate your crown chakra and turn you transcendent, making you a clear channel for the universal healing force. This process is so intense that it comes with mandatory support groups and wellness checks, the same way mountain climbers need base camps and oxygen masks at extreme altitudes. To put this into perspective, I know someone who had been on the path for over a decade and considered themselves pretty advanced who gave it the old college try. He made it exactly 3 sessions into stage 1 before his mind essentially blue screened, suffering a complete psychological breakdown that required weeks of inpatient psychiatric care. Let me be crystal clear here. This is not a path most people take, nor should they. The vast majority of spiritual seekers find profound transformation through gentler means. This extreme approach is only for those who feel an undeniable inner calling to walk through this particular fire. And even then, it's not something to enter lightly. In Awake, It's Your Turn, Delulu outlines numerous other approaches to awakening that are beyond the scope of this book and are worth exploring for more details and a secondary perspective to what I bring. Always go with what resonates with you. However, from what I've gathered from my mentors and research, it appears that reaching higher states often involves a systemic burning through lifetimes of karmic patterns. the complete and utter dissolution of everything we think we are. Every unconscious program, every inherited trauma, every protective mechanism the ego has constructed across countless incarnations had to be faced, felt, and ultimately transcended. You have to be a badass to want enlightenment. Only the brave dare walk this road. This is the path every true master walks. The only exception to the hard work and relentless dedication is in those extremely rare cases where a guru instantly awakens a person, like those Papaji students we mentioned earlier, or if it happens spontaneously by grace, sometimes softly, sometimes painfully. And the work never ends. There is no done. Gareth and Campbell both spoke of visiting a place in the astral where ascended masters gather, convinced they finished evolving after conquering the Earth experience. Yet, as mentioned before, stagnation breeds decay in the LCS, and they all inevitably grow, quote unquote, bored, recognizing they must keep moving forward to the next challenge, wherever that may be. With evolution apparently having no ceiling, trying to chart specific levels of enlightenment becomes problematic. As mentioned in a previous chapter, the different levels of enlightenment remain murky territory. Perhaps this uncertainty is intentional, or maybe there's someone who possesses this knowledge. But through all my research and mentor discussions, I never encountered consistent enough information to state anything conclusively. Even among those who reportedly calibrate at 1,000 on Hawkins scale, figures ranging from modern teacher Ramaji, who authored the book 1000, to Jesus Christ, there appear to be vast differences in their expressions of consciousness, as if there were a 2,000, a 5,000, and even a 50,000. Take it or leave it, but when I asked Naringa to rate Eva's transmission versus Swami Shri Atmananda's, she said Atmananda's was 50 times stronger, which tells me something about 1,000 beings compared to another, though I'm not sure what. We'll examine the varying levels of consciousness in detail later, but right now, what matters most is recognizing that obsessing over some ultimate destination is just the mind creating more obstacles. Pour yourself completely into releasing whatever arises in your practice and trust that grace handles the rest. That's really all you can do.